Hello everyone, Micah Barga here, aka Micah Jackson, and I'm going to tell you how I became a game developer. On an evening back in April 2005, at that time I was 15 years old and still in my freshman year of high school, my older brother Matthew calls me into this very room here. Upon entering, I noticed on our computer how he's playing a game that he made himself. The game featured me as my superpower alter ego Power Micah, and I was fighting my arch nemesis, Trekker. The game was in the same format as the old school fighting games you see in arcades like Street Fighter and things like that. Before I move, real quick, I do want to point out that Power Micah and Trekker are both characters based off of this on the series that I created myself called The Adventures of Micah. I do talk about that in another video. Alright, moving on with this video. Of course I let curiosity get the best of me, so I asked my older brother how he did it, and he gives me his answer. This was when I was first introduced to the program Game Maker. So very intrigued, I decided to take a whack at it myself the very next day, in which I decided to create my very own version of me fighting Trekker in an arcade-like style fighting game. There's a first for everything, so of course everything was hard for me at first. I had no idea what I was doing. Didn't know how to calculate score, keep track of health, anything like that. But throughout the days and years, everything became easier and easier for me. Let that be a lesson to you. You can be anything you want to be as long as you put your heart and mind to it. Just remember this saying, if at first you don't succeed, try again. Skip ahead 4 years. I enrolled in a class in college called Game Development Essentials. I actually took this class about a year and a half after graduating high school. And then about a couple weeks or so prior to the class starting, I went to the college's bookstore and picked up my textbook for it. Upon purchasing it, I actually skimmed through it. And inside the book, I actually noticed that the class was going to teach me how to make computer games using, believe it or not, Game Maker. And I had already had 4 years of experience with the program under my belt at that time. Who'd have thought? Well, on the first day of class, my professor talks to my class and tells us what we were going to do. And I do believe that she mentions that what we were going to do. She said something like, we're going to learn how to make computer games using Game Maker. At that moment in time, I raise my hand and she calls on me, and I say to her, I've been making games with Game Maker for 4 years, except I've been doing it as a hobby and not for school. Now, when I told her the part where I said working with it for 4 years, I unfortunately don't remember her reaction to that. But I know after I said, but it was for a hobby and not for school, I know with that she reacted with, well, now you'll be doing it for school, in a joking manner. Unfortunately, the class itself wasn't exactly a walk in the park on my part. I guess that's because I was working with the latest version of Game Maker at the time, which was 7. 8 and 8.1 weren't out yet, neither was Game Maker Studio. And all my games were made with version 5.3a. Not only that, I always had a tough time learning things in school. You know, my mind just didn't want to absorb what was being taught to me. It always wanted to wander, thus giving me a hard time staying focused. Despite this, though, I did pass the class on my first try with an A. And in case any of you are wondering, I did graduate from college. I hold an associate's degree in that field. I forgot to point out earlier that I went to college to learn how to make video games, of course. That's what I want to do with my life. My associate's degree is titled Associate of Applied Business in Computer Information Technology / Computer Games and Simulation. I don't know if this would relate any... This might be off topic, but I also would like to make cartoons, so I guess you could say I minored in that in college. I did learn more of those aspects at another college, and I hold a multimedia certification in that. I still do all that to this day, make video games and cartoons, or fixing up old projects. I've even migrated all my GameMaker games from Standard GameMaker version 5.3a to GameMaker Studio version 1.4. I'm not working with GameMaker Studio 2 yet. I want to get all this out of the way first, because when I do move on to if or when I do move on to GameMaker Studio 2, I do want to have some work cut out. I even have 2 websites where you can actually download and play my games. I've already said this in another video, but I'm not perfect, so I don't know everything about game development, so all or some of my games are going to have errors and glitches in them every now and then. If you ever come across any, just let me know and I'll do what I can to fix them up. My mind's going blank here, so I think I'm going to end the video here. See you around!